This is Things Police See, First-Hand Accounts, with your host, Steve Gold.
Welcome to the podcast that interviews active and retired police officers about their most intense, bizarre, and sometimes humorous moments on the job. It is I, Old Gingerface, here with you as always. Guys, thank you for being here. As you heard in the last episode, I had that vacation. I had a full week back to work to get back into my eating routine, and my swelling has gone down. Don't worry, my uniform is fitting okay. But I know what you guys. I know you guys know how it feels to go on vacation and then have to squeeze back into your tailored uniforms. It's brutal. I would wear, and even now the uniforms now are more like pajamas. Like there's like cargo pants, outer carriers. It's all pretty comfy, but still, when you eat like I eat, it's no help at all. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the rating and reviewing. Thank you for everybody who's binge listening to the podcast. I truly appreciate that. I appreciate you. And this is the podcast where you'll hear the men and women of law enforcement come on and tell their stories, real life, unedited, how they live them, so you can gain a better appreciation for what it is that the men and women do out there protecting us. So thank you for checking it out. Today's guest, very excited to have him. He really, really cool story. He is a co-host of a super popular podcast, the Anit-Hero podcast. I saw them when they started and kind of have a meteorite-like propulsion in the podcast world. They're really killing it. He's got a host on there with him who's former special forces. He actually just retired from police work. He did 9 years in Central Florida as a deputy sheriff, and very excited to have him. Without further ado, let me bring on the great Tyler Hoover. Tyler.
What's up, man? I'm going to call my next podcast the Meteoritic Trajectory. I was like, man, did he just make up 2 words in a row? That was awesome.
Yeah, I do it all the time. It's easy, man. You just make them up.
I do too.
You just put them out there. Yeah,
sometimes people call me out on it, but.
Yeah. I don't have any kind of live thing going on, so no one calls me out except an email, and then it's too late. Yeah, man, like we were saying right before we started recording, dude, the podcast is great, and you guys are. It's funny because you, I don't know if you're anything like me, but when you see a new podcast in our genre start, and you see it's a couple guys or 3 guys, and I always start to get the cringies a little bit before I look at it, because I'm like, you're hoping they're not starting the podcast and thinking they have this this banter they thought would be so enjoyable for everybody else. You know, like, hey, we're funny, we should record it type of thing.
We should start a podcast.
Yeah, we should record this podcast for all times, like, because we're so hilarious. But your podcast truly is well done. Like, you guys have clearly you have a huge following, and the conversations and the banter you guys have is it's great, man. It's super fun to listen to. So my hat's off to you, brother. It's not easy to do. I think it's easy to start a podcast, but it's not easy to be successful at it. And you guys have really, really done that with your meteoritic rise in the podcast world. So what do you think, between you and Brent Tucker is your co-host, Delta Force Green Beret guy? It's kind of the perfect amalgamation of police and military together. What do you think it was that kind of hit a nerve with people?
To start podcasting?
Yeah, just to get that kind of success.
That's okay. So to get the success was I had plateaued around episode 35. It was just all stagnant, and I was running out of friends. I wanted a buddy podcast. I didn't want to do because one of the things I realized is when you interview people, that if you make regular people try and sound like extraordinary people,
yeah,
or extraordinary people, I guess. There's me and my words too. It just doesn't resonate with as many people as if you just made a buddy podcast. Like, I don't have to, if it's like you said, man, when 2 people are actually funny,
right,
you don't really care who they are. And so I was I had my friends on and off, and I was interviewing people that I thought were worthy, but I was like, my next thing is I need a co-host. That's what the Anti-Hero podcast needs. And I went and looked at all these episodes, and all of them, I had Brent on as a guest for like three or four episodes, and they all did so well. And it's because Delta Force sells just like Navy SEAL. You put that on a thumbnail, it's going through the roof. So,
I didn't even know that was real. I remember Chuck Norris had a Delta Force movie, and then when I got older, I was like, oh, Delta Force is real. Yeah. Those are real badasses.
So I had he only lived 15 minutes away from me. So I made a giant proposal. I brought it to him, and I spent a lot of time on that proposal. We joke about it because he opened it, and I was talking, I was briefing him as and he closed it and goes, sure, I'll do it. And I was like, you don't want to look at all the analytics and stuff that I copy and pasted like a knuckle dragger to prove to you that this is going to be a success? Yeah. He's like, no, man, let's do it. Let's rock and roll. I was like, sweet. So he, at that time, had just recorded the Rob O'Neill episode, which is where, if you go back to episode, I want to say 34 or 35, maybe 36. It's called Delta Force and Cigars, and it's a part 1 and part 2. So it's like 35 and 36 were recorded at the same time. And that was his second appearance. So second and third episode, but second appearance overall on my podcast. And he had just casually nonchalant said, I mean, everybody knows Rob O'Neill didn't kill Osama bin Laden. And I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I didn't know that. He goes, yeah. And I made a clip of that, and it hit 1 million views on every single social media platform. And everybody was like, apparently the rest of the world also was like me and didn't know. So he was like, I have to do a rebuttal. I have to do a whole nother episode on why Rob O'Neill's lying. So we did a 3-hour breakdown of Rob O'Neill, and that is what launched us to the moon. So it was a mixture of getting a Delta Force co-host. You know, Brent has a lot of life experience. He has a lot of contacts. He has a lot of, clout that he earned as tier 1 guy.
He's in the inner circle.
Yeah, mixed with my hard work and the thing I already built. It was the perfect combination for success. It really was. I everybody's like, oh, how'd you do it? It's like, that was God. You know, a little bit of hard work, meets opportunity. I guess that's what they always say. You know, God's got to put those two together. So, and then, after the Rob O'Neill, that was episode 37. And we started our rebrand at episode 40. That was what you see now at I think we put out 133 today. Yep. Episode 40 is where that started.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Good idea. Yeah, I fly solo like most of the time on I live out in the sticks in Western Mass, so like I really feel like if you have a co-host, it's really better to have them in person, you know?
Yeah.
In the studio. It's cool to do it remotely, but that's awesome, man. Like I said, I was blown away by you guys and how you just kind of like pulled away from the pack. It was so cool to watch, and it's so cool that you have retired from your police job. That's amazing, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I had seen a clip on my dad is retired from the job, and I got to watch. I mean, I did ride-alongs from 2000 to like 2006 with him from when I was in 7th grade to a senior. And he wasn't cynical, but as any cop, he's like, hey, don't do this. It's not like, and he kind of showed me like, hey, I learned in real time. They'll tell you every day the job is not your life.
Yep.
The job will turn on you at any moment, and all the cliche things he told me. So I got into the job knowing all those things.
My dad did the same thing.
And I was like, hey, I need to have for the first time in my career, around 7 years in, things like were not working out for me in law enforcement. Everything was like, I wasn't getting things I deserved. And I'm not saying like, oh, I'm saying like I busted my ass, and politics were getting in the way of, or people just not liking me, or like in the way of me getting a gig. So I was like, you know what? As soon as I started the podcast, I was like, it's only a matter of time. I'm going to keep driving and driving. And I saw a Joe Rogan clip once where he's like, hey, you can change your career at any time. Never think you can't. But it's going to be an X amount of time of working double before you can make that jump.
That's right.
You can't just not take a paycheck anymore. So you either got to go get another job on top of the job you already have, or you got to go to school on top of the job you already have to get qualified for the job you want.
Right.
Single mothers do it all the fucking time.
Right.
So cops can do it if they really wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Absolutely, man. Well, congrats on that, brother. I love it. Can we go way back to young patrolman Hoover, first started the job? What's the first call you took that, at the time you considered a hot call, kind of got your adrenaline going?
Oh man. My first call ever. I remember my first call ever, and it wasn't a hot call. So I'm going to give you a twofer for this one because I'll make it quick.
It was a
DV call. And I went and I'm talking to the dude. He's pissed off. My partner is a female outside talking to the female half. It's your standard DV. And I'm puffing up, I just done 7 months worth of training. I know what I'm doing. And
Right.
he goes, fuck this, man. I'm going to my room. I go, no, you're not, sir. And he goes, the fuck you telling me? I am. And started walking towards his room. Well, we've just watched 80,000 videos in the last 7 months of cops getting shot at domestics because people went and got guns. So
right.
I panicked.
Especially
and I
Florida.
was like, oh, it's the most embarrassing thing ever, dude. I got on the radio and said, can you get in here? That's all I could get out. And my voice cracked. So it was like, can you get in here? And it was like everybody, it was one of those radio traffic things where everyone flipped a U and went because of what I said.
Right.
It was like your tone of voice, your level of worry was so strong that everybody on shift was coming to.
It came through.
Just because instead of going, Tracy, can you come in here real quick? Or, 340 Alpha, come inside real quick. I'm going to follow this guy. We're probably going to fight. Right. That was my first, I thought in my head, he was coming out with a gun to kill me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that was my first call ever. My first hot call was a shooting. I went from one agency to another. There was no hood in the first agency. I went to a bigger city where there's a hood, and there was an extended stay motel that we were at all night long every night.
Yep.
And there was a shooting there, and me and my FTO at the time, because I say hot call, the first agency I worked at for almost 3 years, I never really had a hot call. There was some calls that I was third or fourth to, but I was never this was a shooting, and I pulled up with my FTO, and I had prior, but I pulled up with my field training officer, and there was a guy laying in the parking lot, and there was motherfuckers everywhere. And the only thing that I could think to do was I started pulling security like this because I'm from the Army. I deployed to Baghdad, big crowds like that. And it was just around the time we were starting to be a little bit more courteous to the guys that, even though we didn't shoot this guy, I was like, fuck this. In my mind, I was like, we'll get to him. We can get to him. It's just me and my FTO, and he gloved up first. So I was like, boom. And there was some kind of and at cop work, you'll have 5 people tell you one thing and 5 people tell you the other, what you did wrong or you did right. And some people were criticizing me of, not caring that he didn't. Yeah, I just was so there's so many people. Someone's going to shoot us. There was 50 people out in the balconies or all over the parking lot. Yeah. And he just got shot and we don't know who shot him. And it was 1 minute ago. So there's statistically speaking, there's someone in our vicinity with a gun that is willing to pull the trigger.
Right.
So that was my first hot call. And I just remember there were so many people, and that was just a regular day in the hood for them.
Yeah. They're all looking at you. That's nuts, man. That's great. How did, were you on FTO still then, or were you, on your own?
No, I was in FTO then. I was in phase 2. Like I said, I had prior. So, but I only had to do a couple phases as opposed to the whole FTO. But yeah, I was with my buddy Griffin on that one.
What was your grade on that? Did he find it to be okay? Your reaction?
He thought it was. I think he was okay with my decision making because I said, in cop work, you're just kind of looking in SWAT and anything. You're looking for why did you do something. If you're confident in why you did something, I'm good. I just can't have you going, I don't know, I go, you gloved up and you had your back turned to 50 people. I was like, I don't know. That's what my gut told me to do. He's like, I'm good with it. So.
Nice. So you got the clear. You didn't get chewed out or anything.
No.
Excellent.
And I had enough I got a big mouth, so I consider everything like prison. If you go somewhere new, the first motherfucker that talks sideways to you, you let them know they can't do it anymore, whether it's respectfully or not. So, and I had prior. So, as a new guy, when you go to a new agency and they don't really, some people really value it that you came from prior. And then some people do not give a shit and they will talk to you like you are a brand new boot. Yeah. And I just, like I said, sometimes it's politely or sometimes it's not so politely. I tell motherfuckers, like, I'll look around and go, I'll go like this, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "I know you're not talking to me like that, so I'm trying to find the motherfucker that you think you're talking to."
I have a buddy that came up. He transferred into a different department, and they had the old school boot to boot type thing. Like they didn't care where you worked. This is our way, and they treated him like at one point he said they in the cell block they were like they called him a retard for not cause he patted him down when they got to the booking room. Then they asked him, did you pat him down again before you put him in the cell? And he was like, no. And they called him a retard. And he was like, where the hell am I, dude? I'm like a trained, certified cop. And you guys are treating me like I'm an idiot. And he didn't stay there. He got through the training and he got signed off on. And then he, some guys, if you do that to them, they'll keep their head down and keep going. But as soon as the next opportunity comes, they're going to be like, see you later, dude. I don't like, don't treat me like dirt. You didn't pay for my academy. I'm not a boot. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, exactly. And the mindset is, they're like right now, it depends on when you join. Right now, they're lucky to have you. You actually, I mean, they'll never admit it and you don't have any leverage really. But if you look at it, any agency right now in America is lucky to have you. Back during the crisis, the first housing market crisis in 2007 is when our generation or the generation above us kind of saw the benefit of having a government job. So for years, for like 10 years, you were lucky to have them.
Right.
Now the economy is different. And also the fucking since 2016, everybody says 2020 George Floyd, but it was way before then.
Yeah.
There's just been a war on cops, an ideology that the deep state has won to destroy the trust and partnership between the community and law enforcement. So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look at it now. There's like, around here where I'm at, these are small agencies offering $10,000 sign-on bonuses. If you go to the West Coast to like a medium-sized city, some of them will give you $50K to join their. You remember people like begging to be cops, getting on a list, going to take a test with 500 other people.
Especially in the Northeast, like where you're from, man, all up there, people would be like, oh yeah, man, I took the test. I've been waiting 2 years for this. Like, holy guacamole, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Like to be a Mass State Trooper, they used to use the Boston Garden to do the test. It was like, and when you're in line, they'd have troopers come screaming at you before you take the test. And now they're like, oh, well, hey, we're, there's, how about 10K to come on? So like I work for a smaller agency now and it's like, it's a nightmare because if we have 2 guys in academy now, if we hire guys and send them to academy and then we make them sign a contract to stay for 3 years, if the town next door is offering 10 G's, they'll just break the contract, pay it off with the 10 grand or half the 10 grand. And then they're, it's like, it's a double-edged sword because it's better for us, especially during negotiations where it's like, hey, you got to pay us. But on the other hand, asses in the seats is harder to do too. It's harder to get people because they're candidates are calling the shots. Like they got the leverage big time.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. Unfortunately, police agencies are typically run by people that are bad at running any type of business or agency. So, when they say like, hey, when all boots on ground go, the guys next door offering this, we need to offer this too. And they say, no, we're not going to do that. Like, okay, well then. And what's funny is they don't suffer. We suffer.
Right.
The boots on ground suffers when there are no other fucking boots to fucking share zones with,
Right. Yeah. It's like that old poster they used to put up that, their morale or beatings will continue until morale improves, that type of thing. They don't notice until it's a crisis because they're not getting ordered to cover shifts. They're working a 9-to-5 salary job. So and
they're still out of touch because the way government works is that nobody wants to tell the person above them, especially in an appointed position, that things are bad.
Right.
So you're going to have your lieutenants telling your captains, everything's good, sir. And your captains are going to go, cool. And even if the captains know, they're going to go to the major and go, everything's good in my zone, sir. And okay, the major now gets to report that his division is doing the best. And even though he knows, oh, it's a shit show, he's not going to go to the under chief or chief deputy and go, hey, patrol's all fucked up right now, because guess what they're going to do? They're going to go, well, then I'll get somebody that can do it.
Right.
You know, it's go. Anybody that wants to be a cop, go watch The Wire first. That is the show. It's not. There's great cop shows everywhere, but if you want to know how law enforcement works, go watch The Wire.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of like the Asian pilots or the Chinese pilots, where they started making the first officer fly so the captain could correct him, because if the captain was flying and doing something wrong, the first officer would never speak up. He would just let the plane crash because it's dishonorable to correct the captain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything, but we're about to hit a mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it's an analogy, but it's an analogy. Like, it's true. Like, you know, hey, the agency's going to shit, and you got guys telling you
right
what's wrong with it, and you're not doing anything about it. So,
yeah,
you know, okay,
yeah, is what it is. Tyler, can you tell us about the strangest or most bizarre thing you dealt with on the job?
Dude, it is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is Florida.
Yeah. Well, so, okay. In law enforcement, it's front row tickets to the best show on earth. You are exposed to a lot more than the average person. So stranger things are going to happen to you. And one area I worked for a long time had a very heavy Haitian population. So, and if you guys don't know, just like white people, Haitians also deal in the devil, and they deal in all the fucking voodoo, and not all Haitians, not even most of them, but
right.
Just like in Christianity, there's people that, you know, are into white people witchcraft and all these things,
sure.
And the occult. They do that in other ethnicities too. So I go and respond. The call notes I read were like, no way. And I'm not going to tell you the call notes because I don't want to ruin the story. But I read the call notes. I'm like, what the fuck? And I show up, and at each, it's a stop sign intersection in the hood, kind of like, and not so much the hood is in violent, but it's in the ghetto. A 4-way stop sign, two roads. At each corner of the intersection was a bird without a head, a pigeon. Boy. I think they were pigeons, decapitated pigeons.
Kind of ritual shit.
Corner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the fuck? At the time, I wasn't a religious person, so I didn't beat feet out of there. I sat there and tried to figure out what the hell's going on. And then there was nothing the police could do. Animal control's not coming out. They're dead. They're not in the road. They're not causing an issue. It's not a law enforcement issue. It's weird as hell.
Right.
But it's not a crime. It probably was a crime to do it. But as of right now, you know, you have an animal cruelty misdemeanor afoot. Like no one cares. So that was by far the weirdest fucking call I've ever been on. Still fucks me to this day. I'm like, you know, and then somebody did tell me that's voodoo witchcraft right there.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the, you know, somebody was putting a hex on someone else, and hopefully it wasn't me.
Yeah, man. I'd be crossing myself and saying my prayers. Keep that away from me. Hell no. That's nuts, dude. That is I recently have you ever like read about the Salem witch trials and all that stuff with the lady? Yeah, like the I don't know if she was Haitian, but there was a woman involved that was from, I think it was Haiti or somewhere else, and I don't know if she was a slave or if she was just like indentured or whatever, but that voodoo stuff freaks me out. And it really freaks me out how just scrolling online, like it's like that's like real white lady stuff now. Like the like being a witch and like doing spells and casting love spells on someone that you want. Like that's a thing. It's really kind of exploded in our culture. It makes me sick.
Well, if anybody is not religious at all, but kind of, let's say you're religious, you know that God exists, but you're just not practicing. You're not devout,
kind of agnostic or something.
Yeah. Whatever religion you are, go start researching the spiritual war that's happening right now on earth. And it's as simple as it's always been. The devil and God are letting you pick, essentially.
Yeah.
They're influencing indirectly as best they can.
ProForce Law Enforcement, the best damn cop shop in the nation, whether you're purchasing for an entire agency or you're an individual officer looking to buy firearms or duty gear, these guys are the best in the biz. ProForce has law enforcement exclusive pricing and is the place to be buying your guns and duty gear. They carry all the top industry brands, and the guys and gals that work there understand exactly what law enforcement officers need. Special discount link, tps.proforceonline.com. It's deeply discounted items just for listeners of this show, or you can go to proforceonline.com and shop the whole place. Place is unbelievable. You can also visit Prescott, Arizona in person or Brea, California in person to get hands-on with the gear. All the contact stuff is in the show notes. Thank you, ProForce.
So, I mean, I know we're getting off on a tangent. It's nothing to do with law enforcement.
No.
But, I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple years ago, I found Christ again, and
Oh, God bless me.
really,
That's amazing.
it sucks because most of everything that's awesome is sinful. It really is. Gluttony, you name it, sex, the outside of wedlock. Like, I mean, everything that people, like to do. Like, look at getting drunk. Spirits. They call booze spirits for a fucking reason. They're and it's just, it's hard now. Like, everything's the occult. Fucking yoga's the occult. Astrology is the occult. Like, everything's the occult. And you're like, God, man, it's so annoying, but it's true. Someone
it's so annoying.
Scholar explains it to you. You're like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not Christ. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know that the yoga thing is like, you're doing these poses and there's really no way. I mean, a lot of the yoga sessions aren't like a Kundalini yoga where they're like talking about the philosophy and the gods and stuff, but you're still doing the poses that are like
the invitational poses. Yeah.
Yeah. Like say dedication to a spirit. And I don't know. I get annoyed with it too, but it's like, it does. So my wife and I, the same thing. We kind of the scales fell off our eyes 7-8 years ago, and we came to Christ, and it really, the nice thing about it is it really makes the world make sense, because it's really confusing if you don't understand good and evil, because everything is relativism. You know what I mean? Because you can relativism yourself into, like, there's people who use relativity to say that, well, Satan, not that bad. He was an angel. He just had a disagreement with God and he fell.
Yeah.
And he was the angel of light. So they're like, you can hear these modern arguments about it. And if you don't have a basis, if you're not saved, you can look at them and go and use your human reason and go, yeah, okay, well, yeah.
It's not hard. Have you ever wanted to justify someone because they were cool, but they were an awful person?
Yeah, of course.
And that person probably wasn't even a master manipulator. And then there's humans that are master manipulators. And one day you just see it and you're like, oh my God, you're an awful person.
Yeah.
That's a human. Imagine what the devil can do.
Yeah.
As long as you let him.
Absolutely. Yeah,
He's probably the coolest dude in every room. Anytime he appears on Earth, he is probably the coolest, savvy dude. And like, God, man, that guy's awesome, dude. He's a partier. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's 10 times smarter than us. He knows the Bible better than us. He knows God better than us. He's like you're saying, he's not gonna have horns and hooves. He's probably the best looking guy around, and he's charismatic as hell. He just knows how to separate you from God. And he'll use tactics like that. So it's like all this stuff is very pervasive, where it's like, it's a very soft entry where you're like, that's not so bad. And then before you know it, you're casting doubts in your Christian belief. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way it goes, brother. Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, Christianity's, I mean, it sounds bad, but it's on a comeback. And that's kind of why I started Counterculture, was because, people aren't afraid to say I'm a Christ follower now.
Right.
Women aren't afraid to go, I don't think being a whore is cool. I think, honoring your husband in a marriage under God and submitting to him is cool. Like, that's what I wish people would have preached to me when I was a young girl. That's what I should have been focusing on and trying to find my entire life. And, guys aren't perfect, man. I think the best Christians are ones that find Christ later in life, whether it be in a prison cell or, scathed by a couple things and like, damn, dude, I'm a lucky motherfucker. And Those ones, people that have had Christ in their life their whole life, sometimes they're not the best person. I'm not saying their intentions are bad, but they're just not the best person because they've always been like, I'm Christian. I can be a piece of shit.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. Yeah, it is. The hookup culture and all that is like, I can remember that because I went through high school in the late 90s, late 90s, and I remember dating, and it was like this huge push for feminism and women independence and women behaving like men. And I remember dating women and being like basically like they've been run through. They've been with like 15, 20 people, and we're in our early 20s, and thinking in the back of my mind, like, no, like,
and it sucked because you feel awful for that girl. And you're like, she could be the best girl ever. But I mean, that is a fucking worn out lock right there.
Yeah.
That ain't secure anymore.
It's just not, you knew in your heart that, and for men too, like dudes that were like, man whoring out there, it's not, you knew in your heart that something was off, but you were forced through the culture to be like, oh, good for you. You're independent and you're sleeping around, but it's like, yuck. Well,
I mean,
yuck.
As men, we don't suffer from the same thing females suffer from as far as when you're a whore, right? Like a man can be a man whore. They're really going to follow him around anywhere. Women will know to stay away from him, but guys will high five them.
Right.
Women do that. It'll ruin their life. And so, and that was always like, I always thought that was interesting. I'll call a spade, but when you look at it deeper as men, as a culture and as a race or a sex, not a race, sorry. We've allowed women to become what they are by using them as sex objects. So all the dudes that you knew that slept with like 60 chicks by the time he was 25, he used 60 women. And now those women are more prone to being used again and again and again.
Right.
Now imagine if 1 million men did that. That's 60 million women that are now in that mindset.
Right.
And so we as men, we are the dominant ones. We are the decision makers. We are the shot callers, but we have to take into accountability that we did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they said, we're accountable to Christ. We're supposed to treat our wife like the church. We're supposed to protect her, die for her if needed, protect her. We're not supposed to be doing this stuff at all. And you're right. There's ripples in the pond from that. So it's, anyways, like you said, there is a resurgence, and I love to see it. I try to invite people to our church as much as I can. And there is a lot more interest in it. People, they feel the emptiness of the world and all these other things that aren't Christian, that aren't ancient. You know what I mean? They're kind of coming back to it, and it's a beautiful thing, Tyler. I love to see it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, but it also could mean this mortal world might expire before we fucking expire, Like, I'm sure every generation and every century has been like, here it comes. But, and I thought sometimes I'm like, maybe that's just what getting old feels like. You're like, dude, the world is about to end. This is it. Jesus is coming back. And that's just how you feel as you get old, because you lose faith in humanity.
Dude, it is so true. Getting old is so weird, man. Like, my daughter's 15 and she's trying to tell us, like, this is the best band. She's talking about a Korean, like, K-pop band. She's like, no, Dad, you'll like it. Like, it's really cool. And she's playing it for me. I'm like, I absolutely hate it. I don't ever want to hear it again. I don't want you to listen in the house. And she's like, she's convinced. And to her credit, she also does like a lot of like 70s, 80s stuff that she grew up with listening to because of my wife and I. But yeah, it's funny because I remember like playing stuff for my parents and being like, why don't they recognize that Vanilla Ice is like the best lyricist that's ever come across? And my dad's like, it's banned from the house.
Yeah. No. Yep. Same thing.
Oh, it's so funny, man. Tyler, can you tell us about your most intense or terrifying call you went on?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll try to sum it up. It's kind of a long call. I was sitting in our, where we 56, the spot. It's away from everything. We called it Indy. It's an industrial complex, away from everybody, safe. Behind us is a big pond. It's a good place for zone cars to go chill. It was probably like midnight. I want to say somewhere around there. And shots fired comes out at the McDonald's about 2 minutes away. Not uncommon. except it started coming out as we put it in drive. It started coming out as an active shooter. People running out of McDonald's, shots being fired. So me and my buddy are the first ones there. We see people running. We're asking the questions. They're like, we think we got, and then we got told he's the only one in there. So we asked a couple people. I mean, it sucks too, because when they're 100 yards that way and you're at the fucking drive-through door behind the speaker box that's propped open, like the drive-through door is where we were going to make entry.
Yeah.
I talked to my buddy. We're like, hey man, this is 101 stuff. If we hear another shot go off, it's going from barricade to active shooter. Because at the time on scene, we never heard a fucking shot. Dispatch heard shots, people heard shots, but they were saying nobody was inside and nobody was injured. Multiple sources of intelligence or information. So we made the call. Hey, this is a barricade. Obviously, get everyone here.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm at the door. Like, that door, it's a regular door, but it's around the drive-through where they bring stuff out to the trash in any fast food restaurant. That's where we were. We had that prop.
Like metal door.
And I'm like, statistically speaking, the next human being I see, I'm going to fucking smoke. Like, there's just no, there's nobody in there but somebody with a gun. And we kept hearing him, but we could hear him talking. So I'm like, what the fuck? Is he talking to himself? And so then everybody and their mother starts coming. And I take up a position behind one of our marked F-150s with a long gun. And I'm just staring. And I have like one of the sides. And I remember looking through the window. I don't know. They got camera access and came to the conclusion that, yes, this is a barricaded person. There's nobody else inside. So they were able to make that determination through all the cameras. So, he is a she. And she's mentally ill and deranged and starts blasting through the fucking across from behind the counter. She's back where they fucking serve McFlurries. Starts shooting across out of the restaurant into the street at cops. So then they open fire through the drive-through. But apparently that window is fucking that glass was making all the bullets go other ways. So
it's like
nobody was
bulletproof or something.
I don't know, but no one was struck in that volley, good or bad. And I remember like, okay, now she's actively shooting. And there was times where I would see a hand or an elbow and I'm looking and I like come out and I'm like, if this person presents themselves in my line of sight with a firearm, I'm going to be taking this shot. And it's not that big of a deal. I was never in danger. They didn't know I was there. And I was behind an F-150 fucking V8 engine.
Right.
The problem is that was just the most intense thing. It never stopped. And then then the call was made and I got relieved and got dressed and went into the Bearcat and then did that for a while. And she ended up being mentally ill and we gassed her and she came out. Or they went and, they had to gas the entire McDonald's, which was open 2 days later. That blew my mind too.
Wow. Mickey D's doesn't F around, dude.
Yeah, man, not in the hood anyway. So, that was and I remember thinking like I was supposed to be off at 2. We didn't get home till 5. And I remember thinking that's a cop right there. That's a cop job. There's no calling in sick because every motherfucker just went through that.
Yeah.
You can't have a mental health day the next day. And I remember I woke up, I got 5 hours, 6 hours sleep, and I felt more hungover than I've ever felt in my life. I didn't have a drop of alcohol, and it was because of the adrenaline dump.
Yeah.
That whole all the cortisone levels that were already naturally high were spiked astronomically for a long period of time. My adrenaline was up for long. The dump, my body just couldn't take it, dude. I was like, it was the worst day.
Yeah, man.
The next day was the worst day.
Yeah, that I've had calls like that before when you're like, your heart is elevated for so long because it takes so long. You're like, this is, like you have time to think this is not good for me. Like I am hyper vigilant. My heart is racing and it's not ending. Like this is just lasting and lasting. And that's what kills cops young.
Yeah. And just if you get in the job, man, you have a shitty shift. If the whole shift endured it with you, guess what? Everyone's coming in. If it just happened to you, you could most likely take the next day off. Right. Especially if you play the mental health card.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get the day off. But if the whole shift goes through something, who's coming out? Nobody.
Yeah.
It's the only job for, well, I shouldn't say, but probably first responders is the only job where everyone at work can have the worst day of their life and have 2 more shifts to do back to back the next 2 days. So
yeah, I mean, that's
be mindful.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, I guess the best way to protect against that is being in shape and doing some kind of, I don't know, praying, meditating, whatever, or Christian meditation preferably. But yeah, I mean, I remember I had to stand up like that with a kid with scissors, and his parents were involved, and he kept coming towards us and backing away, coming towards us, backing away. And we were there for like, I don't know, half an hour. And it was like, my heart was pounding the whole time because it was like, there's lethal cover on them. There's taser cover on them. And it's like, it just kept going. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am ramped up. And so I ended up getting cut from that, from the scissors from when we tackled him. So I had to go to see if I needed a tetanus shot at the hospital, and they took my blood pressure. And this was like 2 hours later, and they're like, do you have bad blood pressure? And I'm like, no, I just had a physical. My blood pressure is great. And they're like, yeah, you're off the charts. I felt fine. You feel fine, but they said my blood pressure was.
That's your new normal, bro. When you become a cop, your new normal's fucking redlining all the time.
Right. It's freaking terrible, dude. It's so bad for you. So bad. I remember writing I was on overnights for 5 years straight. I remember we had a bad domestic, and I was writing reports. My pulse was like screwed up. I was like, I felt fine, but I was like, I could feel my heart. It felt like it was stopping. And I started taking my pulse, and it was like, bump, 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 bump. You know what I mean? Like my pulse wasn't right. And I was like, that ain't right. So it was actually just a couple of weeks later, I had my physical, and the doctor told me, he was like, yeah, because they go through, they work in emergency rooms and stuff, and they do their residency. And he goes, oh yeah, he goes, do you drink a lot of coffee and stay up all night? I'm like, yes. He's like, yeah, when I was in my residency, my heart rate was always screwed up. He goes, you're just having palpitations. He's like, that's just the job you have. He goes, you're just going to have palpitations. Your heart's perfectly healthy.
You're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. He goes, you're just going to have them. And I go, well, is it bad for you? He's like, well, yeah, if you do this for a long time, because it's going to be bad. And I remember that was the first time, I think I was 30, the first time I thought like, oh, that's screwed up, dude. I don't want to shorten my life for doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is what it is, my man. So Tyler, do you have a positive story you can tell us? Positive call?
Yeah. It was one of those calls where it could have been the worst call ever. Ended up being not. By God, I've never had a bad call reference a kid. I've never experienced one, and I've never shot anybody either. So,
thank God.
But at same spot, we're chilling in Indy. I'm telling you, that's where we always were. And a call came out, baby not breathing. So again, we were even closer this time. So we pull in, and it's one of those hood apartments where like everyone illegally parks. There's no way an engine's getting in there, like not anytime soon. So, but it came out, the baby was breathing again. So we were like, okay, well, we were already on scene because we went lights and siren like half a mile.
Right.
And I'm like, well, we're here. Fuck it. Let's go. And I walk inside the front door. Now in my mind, baby's breathing, kind of like, let's do a check on well-being, make sure everything's good, start doing logistics for the FD, getting them in.
Right.
And as soon as I knock on the door swings open, and she puts the baby in my belly like a fucking football. And she's screaming. Everybody in the house is screaming. So apparently that information was inaccurate.
Oh.
The baby's still not breathing.
Damn.
So I had come down from it. Like anybody would tell you, especially a fighter, you cannot come down, or and I went right back up into it. And so now I'm like, the fuck? And I remember I had my partner, and she was like, go sit down. And I sat down. I mean, there was literally no time to be like, hey, and I was like, okay. And she kind of like helped me remember on a newborn. It had to have been a couple months at most, how to do CPR on a newborn. She was like, flip them in your hand, flip them on the back. And she's like, harder. And I'm like, you're like, damn, I'm going to fucking crush this little baby.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear a splattering noise and crying. And what was lodged came up all over my boots.
Thank God.
And, you know, I got one of the highest medals you can get from my agency for that. We both did. So,
that's
you know, because
awesome.
I was like, hey, I couldn't, you know, and I went back in service and I told my buddy James, and he was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, are you, and he went and put me in for the award because no one knew, because my call note said baby's breathing, CPR conducted. Well, I mean, my supervisor at the time wasn't my biggest fan, but it's really not on them. You know, it's kind of like your peers to do stuff, put you in for stuff like that. But
well, they could advocate for you if they were a good supervisor.
Yeah. So we were in a very busy area, though. So supervisors typically don't get a lot of time to research calls that are closed out medically.
Gotcha.
You know? So, but yeah, I got an award for that one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That is the biggest. That's one of my biggest fears. Those calls. I hate those calls when kids are in trouble or because the parents are always so upset and just don't know what to do. Even if they're trained and stuff, because it's their kid, they don't remember what to do. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's shit. And you're a cop, man. You got CPR at best. I shouldn't say at best. A lot of cops have trauma training, but like, I mean,
no, I feel you. Yeah, we have the basic.
You know, you're going to get there first.
We have first responder training. That's it.
Yeah.
We get the lowest level. Believe me, when I see the EMTs or paramedics come through the door, I'm like happy to have them relieve me of my post, you know, and take over care. Damn, brother. Well, did you ever hear from that family at all? No.
Well, I mean, I call a spade. It's the fucking hood. They probably weren't supporters of the police anyways, but
right. They're like, we know there's one good cop. He saved our kid.
But now I've not heard anything.
Gotcha, man. So all your years being a copper, heard some great stories from you. A lot of people who listen to the podcast are like in backgrounds or are thinking about it. They hear you guys tell your stories, and it kind of motivates them to go ahead and become a police officer. What advice would you give to a new recruit in this kind of tumultuous time we are in law enforcement?
It is the coolest job you will ever have. But I tell everybody, it needs to be treated like an enlistment rather than a career. So when you join the military, you join for give or take 4 years at a time. Your enlistment is 4 years. Most people don't stay in. Right. It's not for most people. They got what they needed from it. They got their life experience. They got their college. They got, you know, whatever it is that they join for. They get in 4 years, right? Most people don't stay in. The same thing should apply in our culture in law enforcement as just go do it for a while you go to school, while you know, just know you're having fun, but this might not be it. Because so many cops get caught up in, I got another 15 years to go, man. And I'm like, that fucking sucks. You're probably not going to live through that, dude. You're probably going to eat your gun, or, you know, that sounds bad. I'm sorry. That's dark humor, everybody. You know,
I know what you're saying.
Like,
yeah.
Or health problems. Shit. You watch guys retire and they die 2 years later. You know, it's like, you know, so that's my advice. Have fun, because it is a fun job. Around 5 years is where I'd say, I'm not an analyst or a scholar, but from my training and experience, 5 years is around people know when it's not for them and it is for them. And people at 5 years, they have a great, if it's for them, that means their career is going great, but they're good cops. And that's good. Just know that at any day, your career could take a wildly different turn. Yeah. And the agency will turn on you. There's also the people that in 5 years love the job because they're company men and they're pieces of shit for human beings, and they shouldn't have a badge anyways. So they're going to last by burning you and becoming a lieutenant, then a captain, and a major. So that's my spiel on law enforcement. Absolutely go fucking do it, because it is the coolest job in the world. Just don't expect it to be a career if you want to be happy in life. You're a young person. You still got kids to have, wives to marry and divorce and marry again. You know, you got your whole life ahead of you, you know, and this job is a job that requires your identity. I'm an advocate of make the fucking job your identity. Make it. When you're 21, fuck it. What else you got? Have fun with it. But it does require your identity because you could fucking die at any time at this job. At any time. People, even if you work in Mayberry, people will drive through that town and want to kill you just because you're wearing a uniform. So at any point, you're not safe getting gas. You're not safe cleaning out your car. You're not safe anywhere. So with that being said, enjoy it. But when it's not enjoyable anymore, have a backup plan.
Yeah, man. Words of wisdom. I mean, that's funny. I've never looked at it like that, but maybe that's the new model, enlistment style. You know what I mean? Because and on top of that, it is a young man's game. You know, I've worked with some cops that are like 65, and it's like, brother, if you tussle with one of these 21-year-olds, you're gonna break your hip. Like,
they'll be the first one to say, well, I'm not tussling with nobody. And then it's like, damn, dude, you're a fucking cop. Like, people expect you.
You're my backup, man.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that think cops need to know BJJ and be a blue belt and shit. And if that's the case, then you need to put it on the job qualifications.
Right.
Must have or be able to have a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If it's on the hiring fucking bullet points, then yes, by all means. But until then, dude, don't expect me to take it easy on a guy. Go train 3 times a week on my dime so I could take somebody into custody safer for them. That's just not going to happen. I will punch them in the face until they're snoring before I'm going to put my whole body on them and then just wait for 5 minutes while backup arrives. Like, right.
And you have to get like really sweaty and tangled up with a bunch of dudes all the time to get really good at it too.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to do that.
I got buddies that are into BJJ and I always make that reference. I'm like, dude, I just don't want to be that close to dudes all the time. I know you like it.
You can go and take a lot of cool courses that are combatives based for law enforcement. And I do think those are pretty cool because they don't require you to get your ass beat all day long, which is intimidating for some people. They just don't want to go do that.
Dude,
you can't even get people to go exercise right now, let alone go 3 times a week and get their ass kicked for 6 months before they finally fucking start getting good at it. So go to combatives based or law enforcement based combative courses where they teach you holds, restraints, basic things that, you know, BJJ cops is probably the best that I can think of right now. That is strictly non-weapon related, just hands-on. And you don't need to have a blue belt because most of the shit you learn in BJJ, you can't even use as a cop.
Right. Yeah. It's all chokeholds. The one thing about BJJ I think is funny. It's you always hear the story of the, like, I thought I was good until the instructor's 17-year-old daughter came out and submitted me. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be in that position. I'm good.
No.
Oh, man.
If it's for you, it's for you.
But you're right about the 5-year thing too. Like I remember when I was 5 years in, they sent me and a bunch of other 5-year guys to like this polish the badge seminar. And they know, they've done their studies, that 5 years is the point where people start making a decision, you know? So they send you this polish the badge 5-year thing and they try to, remotivate you or try to like reawaken in you why you did the job in the first place. And, it was actually a somewhat, it was, we enjoyed it because there was a certain amount of bitch sessions they allowed where they're like, just, let it rip. What's your beefs right now? And it
never ask a room full of cops what they have issues with.
Oh my God. No, yeah. We're there all night.
5 hours.
Yeah, we're all there all night. Nobody.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's constantly, the job is constantly becoming, always evolving to more liberal based policies, if you will. Like, I mean, if you look at it, like what year did you start?
2000. Well, I was natural resource officer for 4 years to 2006. And then 2006, I became a police officer.
A cop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, shit, that's way before body cams, but I mean, that was probably when people were issued fucking sticks. It's just, you could pursue for a traffic violation. Everything changes. So when you start, that's your normal baseline. Whatever you're allowed to do as a cop, that's all you know. I came in, my first agency was issuing body cams to trainees. They had just gotten them. So my FTOs didn't even have them yet.
Right.
From day one as a cop, I always had a camera on me. So all the bitching and griping about body-worn cameras didn't affect me. I didn't know the job.
Right. It's all you knew.
5 years later, going on to 9 years later, all the stupid shit that Axon makes you do in order to be compliant within your agency is the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life. And I just couldn't take it anymore. Like tagging all your videos. And I know every agency is different, but spark testing your taser, docking your taser battery, X amount of time. And then you were getting savvy, like, all right, I don't want to tag all these dumbass videos, so I'm just not going to turn it on. Well, now they have the fucking tracker where they show you went on scene 20 times and you only activated it twice. That's a problem.
And were these not police encounters, sir?
Yeah, it's just, man, and I was like, dude, Axon's got a fucking grip on law enforcement to where I don't want to be a part of it anymore. But if you come in at 2025, that's all you know. So that's your baseline. So you're good.
Right.
And in 5 years, when it's more ridiculous, is when you're going to go, this shit's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I worked, for a while, I worked for my hometown as a part-time cop because they needed cops. And I was like, I live here, so I'll do it. And they had body cams. And then the place I was working at full-time didn't have them. And it was a struggle, dude. Like I would forget to turn it on all the time because I didn't have them in my full-time job. You know, like you're saying, if your introduction is with them, it's what you know. If you don't have them normally, it's kind of the pain. I think you either need to have them all the time or not. Like working part-time somewhere that has them was kind of a nightmare. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I was like, oh, why don't you turn on this traffic stop? What are you trying to hide? I'm like, I just forgot. I forgot I had the freaking thing on me.
Yeah, and it's human nature. You're never going to think body cam first before reacting. And if you are, then your mind is not. I don't agree that cops should be even thinking about body cams in a hot situation. That's just me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Tyler, Anti-Hero podcast. I mean, I put on we're showing a screen out right now with your logo, and I'm assuming Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. That's where people can get after. And you guys go weekly or bi-weekly?
Yeah, no, we go weekly. Every Monday morning at 7 a.m. we drop our pre-recorded episode with special, all kinds of different guests. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we go live on YouTube, and that's wild. That's fun as hell. That's live, engaging with the comments. Yeah. And then, you can go to, I own a media company that is now Anti-Hero's under because of the whole failure to stop drama. So that's called Counterculture Inc. And then if you want to support us all, go to countercultureincthreads.com. And we have the best in counterculture graphic tees, stickers, hats, flags, Ranger panties, hoodies, everything you need for counterculture stuff. We got it.
Excellent. I'll put that in the show notes so people can link right to it. What was are you willing to talk about what was the drama with failure to stop?
The Tim Kennedy stuff. Eric Tanzi was the president. I was right under it. Eric hired me to pretty much VP the company. I mean, that wasn't my official term, but I was the one that would go to. I would see you, and I would try and recruit you to failure to stop. And I will give this to Eric Tanzi. I learned everything I know from running a network to Eric. I worked for him for a while, but I told him, I'm like, hey man, I knew this was gonna be a problem, but I told him, hey, we're calling out Tim Kennedy, just a FYI, back in like November, December last year. Well, Tim Kennedy's ghostwriter, Nick Palmisano, also wrote Eric Tanzi's book.
Oh, and I can see how that'd be tough.
So, yeah. And, and the guys over at fucking Drinking Bros podcast don't like us, and Eric likes them. And it was just an amicable split. We were like, hey, we're both not happy over this. He didn't like the way I was handling it, and I didn't like the way he was handling it. And so we were like, you know what? Let's just split. And I haven't talked to him since. So I hope he's doing good. Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, the Tim Kennedy stuff, dude, that was that was wild to watch because you know how it is. Like I'm working still, so I work a lot of hours, and if I see you guys pop up and I'm in an area where I have reception because I work in the hill towns, I'll tune into you guys. And I was like watching the beginning of you guys calling him out, and I was like, whoa, like, because I know Tim Kennedy because he's so everywhere that like he just pops up in like my shorts, you know. So I'm like, oh, yeah, MMA fighter / like special operator guy, and in my mind, hearing you guys call him out, I was just thinking, there is no way in hell in the modern era that you would lie, you would steal valor right now in this point in history, because not only technology, but like you worked with other people. So people are going to know this isn't true. So when you guys were starting to say that, in the back of my mind, I was like, they must know for sure. Like, cause there's no way they would do that otherwise. And I just recently, it was last week, I saw that he admitted it. I was like, this is freaking unbelievable, dude. Like, I can't believe he did that.
Yeah. Sucks. I feel, I shouldn't say I feel for him. I feel bad for him in an extent. I think he's got something wrong with him.
Yeah.
Narcissism doesn't begin to fucking touch it. I think he's got something wrong upstairs that he can't see what he's doing is wrong. And, you know, everybody's jumping on the train. And I know Anit-Hero is going to end it as in like, you know, there's a dead horse there. Right. So, and everybody's jumped on. Then some people said they were done and then jumped back on because they wanted still to get the a little bit of the fucking, you know, taste of it. But at the end of the day, when Anit-Hero is done with it, you know, it'll be over. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, man. You can't, I mean, you spoke the truth. You brought the darkness to the light, and what are you going to do? Grind them into the ground? You know, that's not what you guys are about.
You can't, you informed everybody. We informed everybody, and then it's up to them.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, hey man, that was wild. So good for you guys. Good for you guys to just, you know, tell the truth about it. That obviously had to happen. I mean, he's a major influencer. You can't let that stand, you know?
Yeah, and he's getting into politics. You really want a guy like that in politics? I mean, that's actually all that's in politics. So it actually would have been a match made in heaven, but.
Right. Yeah. Damn, man. Well, man, you guys are doing great work over there. It was an honor to have you on, Tyler. Thank you so much for coming on, telling us your tales and some of your story, brother. Really appreciate it. I got to do the outro to the show. I'll put all your links in the show notes so everybody listening can go there and follow you guys and check out what you got going on. Can you hang on for just like 2 minutes?
Yep.
All right. The great Tyler Hoover, ladies and gentlemen, really, really fun interview. Honored to have him. This is a time in the show where I thank the Patreon sponsors, starting with the lieutenant level. Who I'm talking about is the great and powerful Andy Biggs. The great Kyle Roberts, everybody. Michael Roach from Roach Machines AI Solutions. The great Thomas Connell and Tracy Connell. Thank you. Thank you. Now to the sergeants. Adam McMahon, Adam Mihal, Brad Thompson, Brett Lee, Dan Carlson from Burley Boards. Amazing woodworker. Check him out. Sherry Finch. Thank you. Clark Lakoff. You are the man. Dave Ellman, yes sir. Dennis Carrasquillo, Doug and Kelly Newman, love you guys. See you at church. Elliot Sykes, everybody. Gabriel Decknop, oh, thank you. The great Gary Steiner, George Carey Otis, everybody. George, thank you, sir. Greg Gadboy, oh, thank you. Jackson Dalton, thank you, good sir. The great Jason Labrie, Jason Lau, the great Jessica King. Joey Langley, thank you, my man. John Jordan, John Shoemaker, John and Aaron Kate, love you guys here at church. Lauren Stimson, everybody. The handsome Lane Campbell, Lisa Cano, everybody. Marcus Johansson, oh, thank you. Iceman from Motorcop Chronicles, check out his podcast. The great Nancy Hammond. Paul Maloney. Thank you, brother. Sergeant Raymond Arsenal. Thanks, Ray. Love you. See you at church. Richard Scholes. Keep on trucking, brother. Sasha McNabb. Sam Conway, everybody. Scott Young. Sean Clifford. Seth Wright. Sheriff Ronald Long. The great Tammy Walsh. Holding it down at dispatch. Thank you, Tammy. Tony Fahey. Zachary Pleat. And the handsome George Tessier. Thank you, sir. See you at church, guys. Thank you for the support. If you really love the show and you want to show that to me monetarily, I like that a lot, but you don't have to. The show will remain free so you can see the men and women of law enforcement tell their stories unedited so you can get a better appreciation for exactly what they do. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.